Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/nottheshow. Over 10,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. audibletrial.com/nottheshow. Good evening and welcome to Not the Show. I'm Joe.
And I'm Mondo.
How are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Been
Fantastic.
Been a busy couple weeks. We had Mother's Day, so we skipped a show.
Yeah. We skipped a show for mothers.
We did. It was
for mothers everywhere.
Mothers. Yeah, it's been a good couple weeks. Busy. You? How have you been?
I've been all right.
Good.
Busy. Working.
Mm-hmm.
Working.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. That's about it.
Good.
Life is boring.
That's okay. It gives us more time for geeky, techie, newsy, stuffy.
There you go.
Let's start with Fringe. We talked about Fringe last week because we had seen part one of the two-part season finale. Let's talk about part two.
Part two is pretty good.
I agree.
All right, next topic. No, I'm kidding.
I can tell you what Jen thought. Jen thought it was a little too neatly wrapped up in the end.
I might agree. Not that I thought that the whole thing was a little too neatly wrapped up. I mean, we've been building towards this for a while, but Olivia getting shot in the head and then getting, fixed.
That's pretty awesome.
That was awesome, but I mean, that was a little quick and neat.
It was.
I mean, we had already. I mean, they they were going to do that, like in hindsight, because they laid some groundwork for that.
Yes.
This whole
the cake in the easy bake oven healing itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was a total surprise, but
yeah. I mean, but you think about it, right? If it hadn't been renewed, that would have been a fair. If you take out the shots of, you take out the if it wasn't going to be renewed, that could have been a fair ending for the series.
Sure.
Add in a couple shots that they didn't add, right? That they added in, right at the very end. We saw a shot with September and Walter having a little bit of a conversation, right?
Right.
That was probably leading us to the future that we saw a couple episodes back.
Right.
And so if instead of that scene there had been more of a rappy, uppy, timey-wimey, happy ending bit there, that could have been how they ended the show. So I half think that we got a bit of a cop-out happy ending because it was potentially the last episode. And they did shoot some extra stuff in case it wasn't, where they're going to lead us to next season. Probably majority of next season, I'm guessing, is going to be future-y stuff and the stuff leading up to it. Maybe even switching back and forth in time between what current Walter and current Peter are doing that causes them to get trapped in Amber and woken up in the future, and how Olivia doesn't survive that. We'll probably see that half of it next season, as well as maybe some of the future stuff too.
Sort of like a Lost kind of thing.
Right, bouncing back and forth between the circumstances that led them to saving their lives for the future, and then them hopefully saving the world again in the future with their own daughter and granddaughter.
Right. Fucking J.J. Abrams. Nothing can be simple with him.
Nothing is simple with J.J. Abrams.
You know, my favorite part of the whole show was Googly Eyes.
Oh my god, that was insane.
Jessica, the girl who had gotten saved by Walter a couple of episodes ago.
Speaking of her, before you go on, as soon as Jen saw her,
Yeah.
Jen said, she's too famous to be nobody. She's going to be back for some reason, either as a bad guy or something. She caught, and as soon as she said it, I agreed. She was in Lost, so she's been around.
Yeah, she was Charlotte.
Yeah. So okay,
I liked her.
Go on. You were saying that she died or something.
She died, right? And we got to see her googly eyes because Nina came in with that machine, and they plugged her into it, and you can interrogate the dead, which is something we've known since like season 1.
Yeah, we did see that before.
Yeah. So but I think this is the first time we've seen it since.
I think so too.
And she had the googly eyes.
Yeah.
They were freaking me out a little.
It was a little weird. That whole thing really did freak me out as well. Something else I noticed is that Olivia was very different this last episode, right? Because she was almost the helpless one, whereas usually she's the strong one solving problems every week. She was the one who couldn't control her situation. She was being used, and there was nothing much for her to do aside from die, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone was very. I noticed in retrospect. I read an article, and then someone else noticed this, and I'm copying that. No one ever called her Olivia the whole episode, or Dunham. Even Peter called her Liv, and Walter called her Olive, and even Nina was calling her dear and sweetie, like very motherly, like she's been most of this season.
Right.
It's almost like because she was having an identity crisis because she didn't know what her role was supposed to be and how to fix the problem, that the writers, kind of pushed that feeling even further by all of the people around her were kind of almost babying her.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was good, all in all. I don't think it was as good as last season. The whole season, I don't think was as good as last season, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping next season's going to be really good.
This may have been my favorite, as far as the seasons go, this may have been my favorite episode 19, game changer season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, episode 19 appears as always where they have their game changer episode.
Okay.
And this year it was that future thing.
All right, right.
So, I gotta say, out of all of the, big reveal episodes, this one was probably my favorite.
It was good, and I have my hopes for next season seeing a lot of that.
I hope so.
That'll be good.
Because I'd like to see a little more Desmond, because that was another Lost alumni who was in this season.
That's right.
Was Desmond. Desmond played that Fringe agent in the future.
Yes.
I like Desmond.
So while we're talking about... Wow, I just moved that, and that shouldn't have been moved. Sorry, I'm doing... You know me, I'm juggling. While we're talking about JJ Abrams, there's a couple of stories about JJ Abrams this week. There is... I have a trailer.
A JJ trailer?
First of all, Alcatraz was canceled.
Yes.
Gone. Alcatraz, done. We don't get an answers. We get barely the answers we got. But they renewed Touch, which I thought was terrible.
I've only seen one episode of Touch, and I don't know if I thought that Touch was terrible.
Me.
I don't know that I liked it yet.
I just didn't think there was anywhere for it to go. The kid was the kid gonna continually throw out numbers for his dad to solve mysteries about? What was it going with? Where was he going with it?
Who knows? But where was Lost going?
That's true.
So there could be something big. But I think Touch at the moment, I think maybe it's probably like more of a like a I don't even want to say this, but like like a family show.
I suppose it is. I mean, this week they killed off the finale. They killed off Danny Glover's character,
Oh my
which was
goodness.
a big surprise thing. That he was kind of the conspiracy theorist that was giving the Jack kind of info on stuff.
Right.
So he's dead. Anyway, so since Alcatraz is gone, JJ had a little time on his hands, so he's got a new show. So I'm going to play you JJ Abrams' new trailer for his upcoming show called Revolution.
Uh-oh.
The kids are great. You want to talk to Charlie? Charlie. Charlie. What is going on?
We don't have much time.
Benjamin, what's up?
Where have you been?
It's all gonna turn off. What?
It's gonna turn off and it will never, ever turn back on.
What's gonna turn off? What are you talking about?
We talked about this.
Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Miles.
Last week we actually confused a new Sci-Fi Channel show for this. I think.
We might have.
Because we talked about a Sci-Fi Channel show where the power was going to go away. But I think what we had talked about was this one previously.
What the hell is going on?
We used electricity for everything, even to grow food and pump water. But after the blackout, nothing worked. Not even car engines or jet turbines, hell, even batteries, all of it, gone forever. Governments fell. Militias and generals and warlords rose up. So, what the hell happened?
Take it. Don't let anybody know that you have it. If anything happens to me, just keep it safe. Do you understand?
I'm gonna have to ask you to come with us under the authority of the Monroe Republic.
Why?
Do I have to repeat myself?
You can't take him. Danny. Put it down! Back up! Put that thing down! Back up! Danny's gone.
Danny's gone.
My brother, Miles, is in Chicago. He can get Danny. We have to do this.
Your dad was my friend. I am going to.
I'm Nate.
Charlie,
Where you headed, Charlie?
none of your business, Nate.
Charlie, you can't trust anyone.
Let's not forget, you drew first. And that put your daddy's blood on your hands, son.
This is a long-ass trailer, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
We're looking for Miles Mathis.
Who are you?
Charlie, I'm his niece.
Just you. Come with me.
Oh, hey, buddy.
She's my niece. I don't know you. Militia, huh?
Monroe thinks your dad knew something.
What?
Why the lights went out. Maybe how to turn them back on.
I have lost everyone that I care about, and God knows what they're doing to Danny right now. So you are gonna help me.
They've got
get
him riding in the back of a wagon,
Why's that?
lady.
Because we're family.
Kid, I don't even know you.
Just come with us.
We don't want to hurt you.
Take him.
And that was J.J. Abrams' next show. What'd you think?
It looked like a lot of other shows.
Yeah, a lot of cliches, a lot of things that we've seen, like pieces of things put together almost, it looked like to me. I don't know.
It's like there's a little Jericho in there. There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Might be great. It might be terrible.
It might be. I'll watch it.
Me too.
Sci-fi. I'll give it a chance.
Damn straight. Since we're talking about TV, let's play the TV drop.
There's the television. All right there. All right there. Look, listen, Neil, pray. Commercial.
Let's do more TV. We got a whole bunch of small kind of TV stuff like
mini TV.
Leonard Nimoy says he couldn't resist returning to Fringe. He said that they gave him the opportunity to play a villain. He said it was fun to play evil William Bell, and reading between the lines, the writer of the article seems to think that he was bored with playing with Bell once it was revealed that he was buddies with friends and a good guy at the end of season 2, and he liked the fact that when he came back, he was a bad guy. He'd be happy to come back next season if the opportunity arose, he said. He loves Fringe. He says he loves Fringe and he loves all the people associated with the show. He's never worked with a better company his entire 60-year career, he said.
Wow.
Yep, he said, I'm a sucker for a good role, and JJ is a friend of mine. He calls, and I take his call. That's what he said. He says his theory is that in the new Star Trek movie that they don't need him. They've got a good cast. Zachary Quinto did a good job. And since they've already finished shooting, they don't think that he doesn't think that he'll end up being in the next Star Trek movie either.
Well, I really don't see what he would do in the next Star Trek movie anyway.
Neither do I.
Except for be in the way.
Yeah. How about the fact that he wanted to play the villain in Star Trek V? Star Trek V was the one where his brother showed up. He was laughing, Vulcan laughing thing.
Yeah, he couldn't have made it any worse.
No, but he wanted to play his own twin brother, and that he wanted to play both roles.
Right.
Yeah, they said no.
Because the movie was bad enough already.
Yes. It was a terrible movie, and that's an even worse idea, I think.
I watched it again recently on cable just to see if it was really bad, and yeah, it was. Nostalgia has not softened it at all. It sucks hard.
It does. Movie stuff, TV stuff, TV stuff. Okay. Falling Skies is coming back soon.
Yeah.
If you remember the final episode, our hero, Noah Wiley, the doctor from
ER,
and
right.
the librarian from the TNT librarian shows. You ever see those?
Oh yeah.
So he surrendered himself to the aliens because they kind of forced him into it.
Right.
Right. So there's some spoilers. You know what? The spoilers we probably already just mentioned. They said that there's a new guy running the show. He took over for season 2, and he said that they don't know. They had no idea what to make of that cliffhanger. They said that when he agreed to take over the show, he sat down, watched the whole first season, and said, "Okay, now what the hell am I going to do with this?" He said when he saw the ending, he said, "Oh God, I'm in trouble," meaning he thought that it was cool, but there are moments as a writer where you say, "Okay, what can I do with that?" And he said he wasn't sure what he was going to do with that.
We talked about that after that aired.
Yeah, where did it go?
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, so he says that Noah Wiley said that the number one feedback he got from that episode was, "What the hell were you doing getting on that spaceship?" So he said we kind of wrote ourselves into a little bit of a corner trying to justify it. And he says he thinks coming back in season 2, he explaining what happens to him and what happens to the group in his absence will be there'll be a break probably. So he'll be back with his group. It sounds like. and people will be suspicious of him because they don't know why he's back. So there's a whole angle there of all these people that he's got to hang around with. So he has a hard time getting reintegrated into the second mass because they've accepted his death and they can't help suspecting he's been altered by the aliens. or he's been turned into a homing pigeon. He said there's an element of distrust. Tom even distrusts himself. He doesn't want to be a security risk or liability, but he can't be positive that he was released with some other ulterior motives in mind. Falling Skies will be back June 17th.
Man, I said he never should have gotten on that. It made no sense to go with those aliens.
No, it didn't.
None.
Not a good idea. So IO9 has an article on every single new science fiction and fantasy show announced for the upcoming season. Maybe we'll go through a few of these. The CW has something called Arrow, which is like the Green Arrow, sort of, but...
Yeah, it's kind of like a spin-off of Smallville.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Because, they need another show to beat in a submission for the next 10 years. And I never watched Smallville. I should not pick on it too hard, but I never watched it. Did you watch it?
Never, but I used to make fun of AJ for watching it.
Yeah, I never watched Smallville.
Me either.
No interest.
No, me either.
I'm actually a little more interested in Arrow. I don't know if I'll watch it, but... Yeah, maybe.
It's hard to discount anything like those shows because, right, Buffy and Dollhouse and all of those Joss Whedon shows are like that, sort of. They're that young person, actiony, hour-long TV. Though they aired on, I don't know if they aired on Channel 11, Buffy, but they might have. Fox. It's probably Fox. But who knows? But all of those shows are all kind of like that. Just some end up being good and some end up don't, and that one could be good.
It might be. I'm willing to watch it once.
We've got Beauty and the Beast, which is a modern-day retelling of the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, nobody in it I care about. Will be on Thursdays. CBS will have Elementary, which is the American Sherlock Holmes series. I have a trailer. Would you like to see the trailer for Elementary?
I would. I would like to see the trailer.
All right, let's play that then while since we're on it at the moment. I like the actor they got for Holmes, and Lucy Liu is Lucy Liu.
I take it you two have worked together before?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was assigned to Scotland Yard. Holmes worked homicide.
It's Eli Stone.
You said there were also signs of a struggle in the master bedroom.
I didn't know he was British.
Just in the safe room.
What safe room?
One behind that wall. The extra weight of a safe room's steel reinforcements can cause the floor around it to decline slightly, creating a slope between 1 and 5 degrees. Sometimes I hate it when I'm right.
B-Mark! The show is Sherlock Holmes in Manhattan, in America, modern day.
Your father told me you said you were a detective.
I was a consultant at Scotland Yard. I wasn't paid for my services, and therefore I answered to no one but myself. We get to shine a lens on a different side to him because of the time and the place that our story is set.
When I read the script, I was really excited to see that Sherlock was so incredibly colorful and that they were willing to push the envelope a little bit. My name is Joan Watson. I've been hired by your father to be your sober companion. I'm here to make the transition from your rehab to the routine of your everyday life as smooth as possible. This is definitely a gender change for what's been historically known as Dr. John Watson.
They start this relationship where she's sort of protecting him and trying to figure him out, and then at the same time, he knows her more than she knows him, so it's interesting.
You're a doctor, you understand.
I'm not a doctor.
Were a doctor. Surgeon, judging by your hands.
He's a bit of an outcast. He's eccentric, he's brilliant, he's definitely an outsider.
He's an alien, He's so different from the rest of us.
There are 2 broken glasses here. You can tell from the volume of shards. Obviously, she was pouring a glass of water for her guest when he assailed her.
Right. That's something you would do if some nut job comes in and kicks your door in. You ask him if he's thirsty.
Base of glass number 2.
My character doesn't really care for this guy at all. He's always questioning me, questioning my gut feelings.
Holmes can't really articulate things in a very sensitive fashion.
His hands were around my throat.
Good, excellent. So you got a good look at his eyes. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but a strangler can literally not be more than an arm's length from his stranglee, can he? That's what, 2.5 feet? I'm twice that distance from you now. I can see that your eyes are a lovely brown.
I think I'd like you to leave now.
Why? Because I know that you're lying.
Mr. Holmes.
You have the blood of an innocent woman on your hands. Perhaps you'd like to go for 2 or 3 or 4.
That's enough! The wonderful thing about Joan is that she comes from a more emotional place, and that value will bring a lot to their relationship.
I especially like your relationship between Holmes and Watson. That really is the driving force for the piece.
Need your car keys.
I'm sorry. Not just for your car, but for the way I spoke to you earlier. I just...
Couldn't help yourself. Yeah, I'm starting to see how that's kind of a thing with you. I want you to let me in on the rest of the plan.
I happen to think there's some hope for you as an investigator.
I don't know what to make of it, aside from the fact that I'm constantly going to compare it to the new British Sherlock.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, did you see any of this season yet?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen the whole thing.
I haven't seen any yet, but they're finally airing on Channel 13. So
Yes.
even though I already have them off the back of a truck, I also DVR'd them, so it's a little easier to watch them from the DVR than off the back of a truck.
Yeah, I watched them all off the back of the truck when they aired in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, and I forgot to DVR them. I should have DVR'd tonight, except for I think I'm already DVRing too much stuff tonight anyway.
I think that they're going to repeat for a while. They're if you look for them on your guide, I think that it's under Masterpiece, like Masterpiece. They're part of Masterpiece Theater, I think.
Yes.
For those of you out there that are interested. So Elementary looks okay. I'm going to give it a shot, but I don't know. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I'll check it out.
They originally brought it to the BBC. They wanted the BBC to produce this, and the BBC was like, no, but you better be careful it's not too much like ours, because then we'll be pissed and sue you. Because I guess the BBC sort of owns Sherlock. So I think that's why they chose Lucy Liu as Watson, and that's why they chose present day in Manhattan, I think. Because it made it different enough that they're not going to get pissed off. The BBC's not going to get pissed at them.
Right.
Moving on, the Adult Swim has 2 new shows. I don't watch Adult Swim, so I don't know what those are. King Star King and Rick and Monty. Animated show by Community Direct creator. And 15-minute animated comedy about a modern-day He-Man who's half warrior, half idiot. From Futurama writer Eric Kaplan.
I see. I'll watch that.
That's King Star. That's King Star King.
I watch Adult Swim though, so
I know you do. You're an animated person.
I'm big on that.
I'm not very animated. Move on to ABC. 0 Hour is a conspiracy theorist show when his wife is abducted by Nazis trying to birth the Antichrist. The writer of the article says, this is a nutty script. We're totally in. It sounds nutty to me, too.
It does sound... this is like... I'm going to check it out, but is it a waste of my time?
And is it present-day Nazis that abducted his wife to birth the Antichrist?
This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking.
They also have The Neighbors, which is a bunch of city mice moving into the suburbs, only to realize they've moved into a town populated entirely by aliens in the skies that cry green goo out of their ears. The Neighbors.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And their last one is 666 Park Avenue. Terry O'Quinn and Vanessa Williams are sucking in young couples and their souls with a haunted apartment building in New York.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
NBC has Revolution, which we just talked about, and Do No Harm, a Grey's Anatomy's take on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Instead of turning into a monster, the main character turns into a sexy party animal.
I don't know.
So there's no new sci-fi or fantasy for Fox. And we already talked about the sci-fi channels. We talked about them last week, all of their takes. So that's the new sci-fi fantasy take on the upcoming season.
I think I'm going to be watching a lot more Netflix this
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. Nothing really that grabbed me. I mean, last year when we had the same conversation, there was so much on there that was interesting. The Alcatraz and Falling Skies and the one with the dinosaurs, and that was all this past season, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And people will say that, sci-fi just doesn't do well on TV anymore, and I'd have to disagree, and I'd say that good sci-fi might work on TV.
Yeah, I think so.
Also well-written sci-fi. It's like, J.J. Abrams needs to... I love J.J. Abrams, don't get me wrong here, but he needs to fucking stop. He needs to take a breath and realize that, Man, I don't want to figure shit out every week. I have a job. I have other TV shows I watch. Man, I'm not in it to play a guessing game for a season. I mean, I liked Alcatraz, but all this mystery, no fucking answers, and just convict of the week. And, you know, I admit it. I was still watching it, but I was getting a little bored.
Yeah.
So, you know, he wants to keep us guessing. You know, that worked with Lost. And even towards the end of Lost, it was kind of like, oh, what are you doing now? I mean, granted, he wasn't involved in Lost anymore at the end there, but
that's true.
Aside from the fact that it was like, you know, his baby, but it's like it was his idea.
I agree. I have no argument with anything you've just said.
He just needs to stop. I just want him to do a show where it's like it's just open, it's cut and dried. Something good.
That'll never happen.
Joss Whedon was really good for that.
He was, and we're going to talk about him when we get to the movie section of our show. But there's one crossover story, right? You'll like this. It's kind of interesting. If you go to the opening sequence of Firefly's pilot episode, which was called Serenity, Malcolm Reynolds is fighting the Battle of Serenity Valley and losing, right? So that's like, you know, backstory sort of. But before he's forced to lay down his guns, he hops behind a giant anti-aircraft cannon to shoot down an Alliance fighter, and he powers up the gun. There's this heads-up display that shows up, right? And it's got a reticle for him to shoot through. And on the top of that little screen, there is a Weyland-Yutani Corp logo. And all these years, this is the first I've seen of that. Weyland-Yutani is the company from Alien and now from Prometheus. The company that builds the atmospheric processors and that built all the ships that we've seen so far in the Alien universe. That's interesting. I'm surprised I've never seen that anywhere before. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Some crazy person spotted that before whoever wrote this article.
Sure.
But that's it. I thought that was interesting. Just that one little logo, and now two of our favorite worlds in sci-fi are the same universe. Very cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So let's take our break. First, I want to talk about Audible.com. For the listeners of Not the Show, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. They have every book you can imagine, anything we ever talk about on here, Stephen King stuff. They have 50 Shades of Grey, which is the current weird Twilight fan fiction soft porn book that every housewife in America seems to be reading at the moment. They also have all the Hunger Games books. They have anything out there. They have all the Harry Potters. So yeah, go to audibletrial.com/nottheshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/nottheshow for your free audiobook. You get, with a 30-day trial, you get one free book. So that's audibletrial.com/nottheshow. And we will be right back.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she's waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, you know, I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
Here is some money. Take him to the movies or something.
And we're back. That was We Are Young by Fun.
By Fun?
Fun.
Fun.
Yep. Once in a while, you know, Jen listens to a lot of kind of modern music, new stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I like some of it, you know, so once in a while I try and throw in something new. That's relatively new. A little more upbeat than we're used to, but I like the choruses better than the rest of the song. I think the choruses are kind of really interesting. The We Are Young part.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. It's We Are Young featuring Janelle Monáe. Monet? M-O-N-A-E with an accent over the A. Monet!
Our opening song was Strychnine, which is a Sonics cover done by The Fall.
Excellent. I liked it.
Yeah, it's a good song. And I like the Fall. They're a great band. Weird, but really good.
Cool. So we're on to our movies segments. Let's start with I didn't put any new totals into the movie game, so we won't talk about that. Besides the fact that the Avengers is still fucking kicking ass, and Battleship came out this week, and it pretty much tanked, although it's doing well in Europe. So there's still some hope for Battleship.
The Avengers sank
Very
Battleship.
Yeah, I saw Battleship. I saw it today.
Did you?
Yep.
And
you know, it was fun. I didn't hate it. You know, the story had holes. It was a little bit silly stuff.
Right.
But I certainly didn't hate the movie. You know, like the main central storyline is that the aliens are trying to use the long-range satellite that we initially sent a message to them on to send a message back home. Kind of like when the Borg came to Earth and they blew up their Borg cube, so they were trying to send a signal back with the Enterprise's dish to tell the people in their own time to come and attack.
Right.
So instead of just shutting off the satellite from Earth, they decided to blow up the transmitters because the aliens were trying to take over the transmitters that transmit to this satellite. I couldn't quite figure out why they didn't just shut off the satellite.
Right.
But maybe they had no ability to shut off the satellite. The humans, I mean. I don't know. But you know, there was a scene where they used a grid on the screen, and they weren't able to see the bad guys, but they were able to track them using this odd kind of radar thing, and they did shoot missiles at B-12, and then at C-17. They actually came up with a cute kind of way, to play Battleship against the bad guys.
Oh, I think it was a huge mistake.
Do you?
Yes.
If you're a kid today that's never played Battleship, you would never know that it was kind of aimed to
exactly. What you need to do is take that scene out and re-release the film as, like, you know, aliens kick our ass, Liam Neeson saves the world, or something along those lines. And all right, okay. So you're one of like 5 people who saw Battleship this week.
I am. There were about 5 people in the theater with me that saw it too. I saw it at 11:30 this morning, so there were 5 other people in there with me.
Wow. Now, I heard they actually did a Thursday night midnight showing of this movie, which I felt was
a waste.
Yeah, it's not. This movie has like no geek cred.
No.
You don't do a midnight showing on a work night unless the movie's got geek cred, because who's going to go out and see this movie in the middle of the night?
I didn't.
Not me.
Me either. Let's move on. So we have a couple of like biggish movie stories. One thing that I thought was fun and quite douchey is George Lucas. George Lucas is being a douche, but kind of in a good way. So, George Lucas has owned this piece of property in Marin County for 40 years in the North San Francisco Bay, and he's wanted to make it into a 300,000 square foot state-of-the-art movie studio for a long time, with a daycare center, a restaurant, a gym, and a 200-car garage, right? So the people that live around there, the neighbors, the other businesses, and the homes, have been fighting it for 25 years. They've been, despite the promise of him bringing $300 million of economic activity to the area, The well-off neighbors said that there would be years of construction activity, there'd be foot traffic, and they didn't want any of that stuff. So, Lucasfilm has withdrawn the idea to build a new studio there. He's abandoning the studio construction after 25 years. Here's what his words are. The level of bitterness and anger expressed by the homeowners in Lucas Valley. Now, this is the name of the valley that this property is in, is Lucas Valley. So I'm assuming Lucasfilm is there. There's other stuff there that has to do with Lucas.
Right.
Convinced us that even if we were to spend more time and acquire the approvals, they would end up not having a constructive relationship with the neighbors. So even if they pushed it through, people would, it would be unpleasant with their neighbors. They love working and living in Marin, but since they fought this project for 25 years, enough is enough. Marin is a bedroom community committed to building subdivisions, not businesses. Many years ago, we tried to stop the Lucas Valley Estates project from being built, but we failed, and now we have a subdivision on our doorstep. I'm not sure what all that means, but whatever. So what is Lucas going to do with this property now that he's tired his rich neighbors to not put it in my backyard? He is going to transform the property into low-income housing, ending their official statement with this statement. If everyone feels that housing is less impactful in the land, then we are hoping that people who need it will benefit. He's working with the Marin Community Foundation to construct affordable housing for either low-income families or seniors living on small fixed incomes. And he already gave them all of the pricey technical studies and land surveys that Lucasfilm spent the past 25 years conducting, so that they don't have to smooth along the development.
Right.
Because if it's and the article says, if there's one thing rich people hate more than having movie magic made in that backyard, it's poor people moving into their backyards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, now Jen said that was the douchiest thing she's ever heard of, and that George Lucas is a big scumbag. And I was like, I guess he is. This is him getting even with these people for fighting him for 25 years. But it's good for the poor people.
Sure. Poor family moving in on Jar Jar Binks' way. Palpatine cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
I thought that was a great story. Lots more movie news. Aside from the fact that we have a new Spider-Man trailer. Now, I have been uninterested in seeing the new Spider-Man until now. How did you feel about what you've seen so far of the new Spider-Man?
It looks really good.
Yeah.
I really do want to see this Amazing Spider-Man, but I've got mixed feelings about it because it's a reboot of a really recent movie series.
Yep.
I feel that that's just fucking unnecessary.
I agree. I only watched the 4-minute extended trailer that I dug up, and we'll see if it entices me anymore. I had the same feeling as you. I thought it was way too soon, but now that I saw the trailer, I'm a little more interested.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of trailers. I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I just wish that it wasn't out there for me to want to see.
Yeah, it's soon. Here it is.
And now, the exclusive 4-minute super preview.
Super
of the summer's
preview.
most anticipated film, The Amazing Spider-Man, in theaters everywhere, July 3rd.
Now he has a different history in this than in the other one. Right, his parents somehow had been scientists.
Well, they did that in the original comics. Eventually, that did come out. Like his parents had this mysterious past.
Okay.
But that happened later.
Somebody help me! My kid is trapped!
That guy was too famous to be a nobody to have his kid trapped. I can see that as potentially like one of those, he accidentally saved the bad guy's kid, or on purpose saved the bad guy's kid.
Right.
Put it on! The mask! It's gonna make you strong. There you go! That's it! Okay, now climb! Do me a favor a little faster, okay, bud? Keep coming!
This life is not an easy one.
Who are you?
I've made enemies. Powerful enemies. I've put those I love in danger. But when your past is a mystery,
It's not the same girl, is it?
you ever stop
Yeah.
looking?
No, this is Gwen Stacy, who was his girlfriend before Mary Jane in the comics.
You're a wanted man, Peter Parker.
I can't believe what the police are saying to you.
My dad has 500 officers.
Ha!
looking for
Dennis
you.
Leary. Is he gonna rant at some point in this movie?
500?
I hope so.
Seems a bit excessive.
You know, if you're gonna steal cars, don't dress like a car thief. You found my weakness. It's small knives. Oh, it's so simple.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What does your father do, Peter?
My parents left when I was very young.
Peter, someday you'll understand.
Did you tell the boy about his father?
Roger Connors. I'm Richard Parker's son.
If you want the truth, Peter, come and get it. Ready to play God?
There's been a biological attack on New York City.
Who else knows about this?
I gotta stop him.
Do you think what happened to you, Peter, was an accident? Do you have any idea what you really are?
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Hey, Parker, you want to play football? Too dangerous.
In theaters everywhere, July 3rd. In Real D 3D and IMAX 3D. Visit theamazingspiderman.com for more.
That was like the whole movie almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it looks good, I have to say.
Yeah, it does. And like I said, I mean, I'm kind of sorry it does. I mean, no, I want it to do well, you know, absolutely, because, you know, the more good superhero movies we make, the more good superhero movies we'll get. But, yeah, I still feel it was, like, just really too soon.
No argument from me. Let's talk about Avengers briefly. An article from Blaster says that the fictional tally of damages done to New York City by the Avengers and the aliens was around $160 billion.
Which really isn't that bad.
I guess not.
I mean, it's bad, but, I mean, did they have real-world disasters that they can compare it to?
Yeah, the September 11th attacks cost New York City $83 billion. The Japanese tsunami cost Japan $122 billion. Hurricane Katrina was about $90 billion. More than all three of those.
More than all three of those, but this actually involved an alien invasion.
It did.
So actually, I think for an alien invasion, this is probably, we got off kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Without the Avengers, I mean, how much would have cost?
Absolutely.
See, so that's a lot of money, though.
It is.
That's like Tony Stark's that's like half of his fortune right there.
The Department of Defense refused to support the Avengers. You ever stay at the end of a movie and you see that, you know, this was helped by the Department of Defense, and you know, this general was supervised filming and all that stuff.
Right.
I guess what they do is they try and make things as realistic as they can for current day weaponry and such.
Right. Weaponry, you know, the whole shebang.
Tanks, trucks. They don't want themselves to look bad.
Right.
So they, you know, if the movie has their support, then you know they kind of feel that it's. Yeah. So the DoD was on board with the Avengers until midway through production, when the they have a Hollywood liaison to the DoD, Phil Strub. He said it became confusing to his supervisors where S.H.I.E.L.D. fit into the current bureaucratic command structure. He said, "We couldn't recognize the unreality of this international organization and our place in it. To whom did S.H.I.E.L.D. answer? Did we work for S.H.I.E.L.D.? as soon as they hit that roadblock, they decided they couldn't do anything with Avengers and dropped their support.
Lame.
It is very lame. So Wired says that Marvel tried to explain that since the word Homeland is in the title of S.H.I.E.L.D., then perhaps it would be part of the Department of Homeland Security, not the DoD.
Right. That makes sense to me.
It does, sort of. I don't know why it has to fall into any category of anything, but whatever.
It used to be a in the comics. At one point, it was an international thing. Okay. They change it up every so often.
Yeah, I mean, and he did have like a committee that was supervising him, right? We saw them twice in the movie.
Yep.
And he ignored them once, and the other time he kind of just yelled at them. So I don't know. It seems silly to me, but whatever. ScienceFiction.com says that Joss Whedon is uncertain about whether or not he wants to do Avengers 2. That makes me sad. He says that he's very torn. It's an enormous amount of work telling what is ultimately someone else's story. He felt like he did get to put himself into a current Avengers movie, but at the same time, he has a bunch of ideas. They all seem really cool, but I think he's nervous about changing too much to make it his own when there's so many rabid fans that would be annoyed with any change.
Right.
So, the guy who wrote this said that he thinks that Whedon is the perfect choice to direct Avengers 2 because he has the innate ability to bring together misfits and form a formidable force. It worked with Buffy, it worked with Serenity, and it worked with Avengers 1. So, I hope he comes back.
I do, but I mean, I understand where he's also coming from, not only from a creative standpoint, but it's like, the way they churn these things out nowadays. Not that I'm complaining about the churn out because, I can hardly wait to see Avengers 2. But at the same time, it's like, I really want Joss Whedon to do other stuff as well.
I agree. I mean, if they're already in production for Avengers 2 or they're already
Right.
in pre-production and they're currently shooting Iron Man 3, I mean, these movies are going to start to overlap. I mean, it's not going to be like it was up till now where there was one at a time, 5 movies that led to this movie. Things are going to start happening at the same time with separate stories for the individual superheroes and combined stories for the Avengers. It's going to get complicated and confusing in my mind.
Right.
One thing that I love that he said, which, he does this. He does it, and Nathan Fillion does it. They all do it. They all give us this false hope, right? He says, he said, which misfit crew does he favor the most? And he said, I love all my raggedy children, but if I could be anywhere, I'd be on board Serenity. And that annoys me because it makes me feel like if he really feels like that's his favorite of all his stories and he knows that all the cast wants to do it again, how could he not at some point do it again? And then it'll flop and he'll have to, and then we'll all be sad, right? Because only us big fans will go see it.
He should do something.
He should. I mean, these are the comic books, right? But I don't know that they're any good. You read any of that stuff, the graphic novels?
Yeah, I've read them all.
Yeah.
And I like them. They're good.
You're right.
But, I don't know. Do a web series. Do like the occasional web movie.
Yeah.
Or something. Do something.
I agree.
Or stop talking about it.
We got a couple more stories, then we're going to call it a night. We've got a couple of quick stuff. The upcoming sequel or prequel to 300 has started production, and they're calling it a spin-off, not a prequel or a sequel. They're saying that it takes place at the same time as 300. You start a little earlier. It's from a different point of view. And while that final battle was happening, the one you saw in 300, there was another battle happening elsewhere, and you'll have a chance to see all of that happening together and how they interact. He said the new flick will dig quite a bit deeper into Xerxes' backstory. The character was featured in 300, but didn't get a ton of screen time. And he said right now they're working on it, and they're going to try to do some backstory on him and how he became the God King. And it's interesting.
It's interesting. Sounds pointless.
Yeah,
But I'm not even saying it'll be bad, but it's like calling a movie Battleship. Because what are they going to call it? Like 300 or 150? 420? It's definitely going to be a prequel or a sequel to a movie where it's not really going to be a prequel or a sequel to the movie at all. It's like just I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's like calling a Clash of the Titans like a sequel or a prequel to Troy.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like it's not. It takes place the same.
So maybe they're not going to mention 300. Maybe they're just going to mention that him from the makers of 300. But that's it.
I'm okay with that if they want to do something like that. But.
Yeah. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner sequel will feature a female protagonist, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So why not?
Now it's supposed to take place a number of years in the future, so it's
definitely a sequel.
Definitely a sequel.
Right. There would definitely be no Harrison Ford.
No Rick Deckard.
Right. Ridley Scott is involved though,
and that's good. I feel that that's very important.
Me too. Had a lot of Ridley Scott news today.
Ridley Scott,
sort of. Orson Scott Card says that the Ender's Game film is going to be quite different from his book. Boo.
Yeah, this is already disappointing news.
I know. And the author said the same thing. The author of this article, he's like, this is alarming and doesn't sound good. And Orson Scott Card said that the scene that he saw them shooting does not come from the book. Very few of the scenes in this movie do. So it was amusing when others asked me how it felt to have my book brought to life. My book was already alive in the mind of every reader. This is old guy. My book was already alive in the mind of every reader. This is writer-director Gavin Hood's movie. So they were his words, and it was his scene. Scott Card said that while the movie veers from his original work, it does look good. And the lengthy visit to his set, he got a good look at the costumes and the sets, and he said that the movie Ender's Game is going to look great. And the last thing he said was, of the acting, he saw a scene between Ender and Colonel Hiram, who's being played by Harrison Ford. He said they were superb. There was film acting, especially in close-up, is not about facial expressions. It's about what's behind the actor's eyes, and it's about the timing. And he said it was so far so good.
I'm not even saying that this won't be a good movie, but I've been waiting for an Ender's movie forever.
Yep.
And one of the things that I liked was the fact that, like, Orson Scott Card was being a stickler about keeping it close to the original source material. He was very concerned about them, not casting a kid who was too old to be Ender.
Right. That's why it took so long.
Right. I mean, he was so involved in, I want this to be my story, that it seems that, well, why'd I wait this long if I'm just going to watch, Battleship in space?
You're absolutely right. I think our last story for the night is that they're about to reboot the Highlander series, and they want Ryan Reynolds to play the Highlander. Not a Ryan Reynolds fan?
No, Ryan Reynolds is okay, but
he was pretty good in the Blade, whatever that was, 3.
Highlander again is.
I know. So it's coming to theaters in 2014, directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. Well,
at least it's a reboot, because I've had issues with everything Highlander after the movie Highlander.
Yeah, they've all
because there can be only one, and he won the prize, and then they did that sequel, Highlander 2, that. They tried to make sense of it, and it just didn't. And then in the third one, it was revealed that, well, you're out of the game temporarily if you're in a cave. If your name's Mario Van Peebles and you're trapped in a cave, it's like you've got ultimate timeout.
Yep.
And then there was the series, and he was in the series, and it's like, well, you can't root for the hero of the series because, we know that he's got to die because Connor McLeod wins the prize, and then they do a fourth movie, and he gets killed.
Yep.
Absolutely rendering the other 3 movies moot.
Yep. It was dumb.
And
it was dumb. It was all just dumb. Maybe the reboot will be better. Maybe they'll fix it in the reboot.
Maybe they should just come up with a new idea.
That'd be good.
I would like to see them re-release Highlander.
Just re-release the theater, the original Highlander?
Re-release it in the theater.
Do you update it? Do you change the music or anything?
No, absolutely not.
Gritty, 80s, the whole works.
Absolutely. That movie was awesome.
It was.
That is like a like Star Wars kind of movie. And I'm not talking Star Wars like A New Hope. I'm talking like this is one of the movies that's just like perfect and timeless and should not be fucked with or altered or sequeled. Well, all right, they did sequel Star Wars quite a few times, but don't mess with it. I think people would see it if you re-released it. I'd watch it.
So would I.
Absolutely.
Fix it up, make it prettier. Do whatever they do, remaster.
Sure.
Make it digital.
Besides, I'm sure Sean Connery could use a couple of bucks.
Oh, he's gotta need something.
I'm the cock of the walk.
What you watch anything this week? We never did the what are you watching segment. Watch anything good this week?
Yeah, ask me if I remember any of it.
I've been watching Game of Thrones on half fast forward. I've been fast forwarding to the things I consider boring and I don't care about, and then I'll flip back 30 seconds, and if I catch something that looks good that I wanted to see, like watching Tyrion slap Joffrey in the face again.
That was awesome.
It was.
I meant to look to see if anyone had made a animated GIF of that, and maybe even combined it with the other one, but I forgot to look.
That's cool.
No, I've been watching. You know what I watched? I watched Stargate Universe this past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, a show that was long ago canceled, and is probably one of the best sci-fi shows that was ever put on television. I really don't understand these things sometimes. It makes no sense to me. But
I read somewhere that something is coming back. Maybe it wasn't Stargate. Maybe it was another Battlestar series coming.
Well, Blood and Chrome, they've been talking about forever. That should be... I don't know if there's a date yet or even a year, but it's filmed. At least big chunks of it are. And that should be showing up on Sci-Fi Channel, soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. What else?
But I haven't really heard much about it, so I don't know.
Did you see the end of Eureka? Not the end. Did you see the last bunch of Eurekas?
Yes, I have been following Eureka.
They finally got them out of the Matrix, and everyone's a little all messed up about it.
Yep, and I think Holly might be back.
You think?
Felicia Day, yeah. They found her in the Matrix.
They did, although then they had to shut the Matrix off to save Carter.
Right.
But we'll see.
But there was such little dilemma about it. It's like if they went on about it a little longer, it made it a little more heartfelt. It would have meant something to me that they turned it off, and I'd be like, yeah, so she's probably dead. But they were like, Holly might be in there, and Fargo was like, oh well, turn it off anyway. It was like, okay.
Just it's like one of those like a hint, like the healing piece of cake in Fringe.
Exactly. So I think that she might be back.
She may. Maybe they'll end it. Maybe it'll be a happy ending, and she'll show up and virtually marry Fargo.
Or maybe she'll take on a new body. Maybe she'll get in Claudia's body.
Maybe.
Claudia from Warehouse 13. I'd watch that.
There were dates. All those shows are coming back. I had all the dates for those, but I don't have them now anymore.
That's all right.
The Warehouse and whatever Haven, they're all coming back. I think that's it for tonight.
That sounds good to me. Yeah. Next week we should possibly talk more about board game movies, because I've seen this whole list of board games that are being turned into movies, and I think we should discuss that.
Cool.
Because most of them just seem like a really bad idea.
Cool. I like that idea.
On a Battleship level, bad idea.
So that's it. This has not the show. We're live every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. You can find everything, all our shows at nottheshow.com. You can find us on iTunes. And we have an app if you prefer that method of listening to podcasts, although podcatchers work better. You can just subscribe to our RSS feed on any podcatcher to listen to every week's episode. And you can also check us out at the Discordia 19 podcast. That's our Stephen King podcast. We do that every other week or so. And that's at discordia19.com. I am Ojoey on the Twitter. Mondo is Dharma Bob, and the show is Not the Show. You can follow us. You can go to our Facebook, facebook.com/Not the Show. And that's everything.
That's it.
So have a good week, buddy, and we'll talk again soon.
You too.
Here is...
Oops.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.